If you've spent any amount of time questing in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and just purely exploring the game for yourself, then you know how often things just don't work out the way that you think they're going to. In the last video I made, you saw me undertake a bizarre investigation, and although I was still homeless, by the end I had taken up residence in a murder victim's home. If you haven't seen the previous episode, I'll have a link for you right here. Well, I'm happy to say that I'm no longer homeless. I found work in the next town over as an apprentice to a blacksmith. Despite my utter failings as a warrior, it seems I have real talent in forging weapons. It's always good to have a trade, and my basic skills in blacksmithing have earned me some modest housing in my apartment here next door to the blacksmith. It's a bit cramped, but I make do. So today is the story arc where I lost half my money in a bad bet, failed to protect an innocent sheep.
Why do they call you Ignatius? All right, keep it to yourself.
Steal from the dead, and ultimately end up precisely the spot where the game begins. That doesn't sound very heroic, especially that bit about getting a sheep killed, but I can explain. You see, what I hadn't gained through glory, I had gained through worldliness. And today's lessons come with a bit of an unexpected ending, so stick around as things would take a turn. I have spent the past few days living in the town of TeknoAXE, working for the local blacksmith. It's been nice having a place to live, a modest income, and crafting weapons and tools for the locals. I may, after this adventure, head back and work a bit more, just for the stability of working with a good trade skill. If you'll recall, at the end of the last video, I had 3 goals I was out to complete: to save the girl, to find my dog, and to become a real competent fighter. Well, since then, I did save the girl and helped her to take revenge on her captors, so that was good. I made my first real money on that hit as well. I made my first real money on that job. As far as becoming a fighter, well, once again, my hopes were dashed when a traveler by the roadside proposed a friendly wager for a bit of a spar. It turns out that his small wager was a good portion of my money, and, well, the fight didn't go so well. So after that, I was left bloody and bashed and broke. But, so we'll have to get back to the becoming a fighter thing, because so far, I'm not sure I'm meant to swing a sword. But there was the other thing, yes, finding my dog. That was the other thing I had set out to accomplish. I can't let my dog twist in the wind while I'm over here living the high life on week-old beef jerky, toiling night and day over a forge. No, in the words of a particular wise sage, you get out there and you find that f***ing dog. So I was ready to travel, well fed and rested. I headed to a local sheep herder who may have seen my dog. He explained to me that he had been having problems with local wolves preying on his sheep. He sent me to a copse of trees out near his farm with one of his sheep as bait to lure out the wolves and kill them. I'll admit I was a bit lost in some of his logic. I mean, I was supposed to save the sheep, right? So why was I walking it right into the wolves? I wasn't clear on that, especially as it was this beef jerky that I had that I was intending to lure them out with, you know. Right, so the jerky. This was my first real loss of the week. Keep in mind that still being very poor, this small pack of 12 jerky pieces had been my main source of protein. I assure you it's quite nutritious. It really, really is. Well, I go to the spot where the wolves have been gathering, and I specifically pick a single piece, not all 12, but one single piece of jerky to lay as for the wolves. But as I found out later, through no fault of my own, it all disappeared. Well, I would find this out later to my dismay when I was hungry, as now I'm down to eating dog meat. Oh, fate, what a cruel, ironic mistress thou art. Well, the wolves came, and that was checked off, and it said to report back to the sheep herder with what I had seen. I admit, I missed that shorter line in between the two that said kill the wolves. I did. I totally missed it. All I read was return with him with what I had seen. So, I bravely fought off the wolves. I tell you, I may not be much of a warrior, but at fighting dogs, I am now feeling confident. So I fought them off, they retreat, and I figure, okay, let's return to the sheep herder and tell him what I saw, which is, I swore, what it told me to do. Yeah, that was a miscommunication. And oh yeah, that sheep that I was out there guarding, well, apparently he's dead too. And so my day had started with the most outright failure. I had lost all my food, failed the quest, and failed to defend the honor of an innocent sheep. Well, no reason to let that get me down. I still have a dog to find. I have heard word that a huntsman who lives down by the pond may be able to help me find my dog, so I head out. Now, that day I traveled a lot. I did go find the huntsman first, but I was told that he had wandered off drunk somewhere, although she didn't know where, but told me I could ask this other guy, but he was nowhere around either, and there was nothing on my map suggesting where either one of these was. So, well, this is where the traveling started. I was left with literally zero leads there, nothing marked on the map and no directions whatsoever as to where this fellow might be, and so I wandered and explored, and I found adventure. One thing about this county is that any given road to anywhere will offer encounters with bandits
Thing you have on you, I'm afraid.
and wolves. If you want to travel safely, you're often actually better just strolling through the forest. However, the inherent lack of safety along the roads does provide one thing: other unfortunates who have failed to make their journeys and thus no longer in need of their belongings. While at first I sought to become a valorous warrior, fighting for honor and righteousness, it's easier just to steal from the dead. I mean, better alive than lifeless be. To the quick full eye of the cattle, the hearth fire burned for the happy air. Outdoors a dead man lay. May the halt ride a horse, and the handless be herdsman. The deaf man may doughtily fight. A blind man is better than a burned one eye. Of what gain is a good man dead? Or in other words, if you can't do one thing, then I'm better off doing what I can do and surviving rather than dying stupidly. For it would be later that day that I would meet a man on the road who would change my life with his words of wisdom. He eyed me not as a warrior, but as one who might be wise to the world. He suggested that perhaps I should not wield a sword, but rather wear a robe.
You have a learned head on those shoulders. The robes of a priest would suit you better than a sword.
And with that, he parted with some very useful advice on traveling, which I found quite insightful. I never did find skill or glory as a fighter, but I found meaning in words and the value of the trade of a blacksmith. It's not too late, I thought, to pursue the skills of what I learned. I can fend off wolves and outsmart bandits, and as it happens, this wise traveler did impart upon me one more boon, where at his feet I found these incredibly charismatic spectacles. It would also happen soon thereafter I would come upon a fallen nobleman on the roadside, and now frocked in finery and working wheel from words, I need to find my way back home, because this new me is it's fantastic, but I'm soaking wet, and it's scary out here. There are bandits, man. And so I would find myself a horse and ride through the night back home to TeknoAXE. I'll wash and hang my new threads in my apartment, and by day learn the craft of the forge. I will travel the county and learn wisdom from other travelers. I will seek to find my dog. And to you, I thank for joining me this day as the journey continues in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, as I'm sure you've no doubt found that any playing experience in this game can be a story, and something that you just want to get back into, as really this play session was nothing but failure after failure after failure. And I'd almost written it off as video worthy until I looked back and realized that I had gleaned value from it, as now I was on a new path with my Henry, destined to be a man of words and wisdom. We'll see how long he can survive like that, but thank you all so much for watching today. Be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell and let me know what you think down in the comments below. It was, again, looking back, I had actually gained a lot. I still suck at fighting, but now my Henry is actually decked out in the clothes of a nobleman, and I have picked up some skill in other things, and we'll see how that goes. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I will see you next time.